Once upon a time, there was a beautiful and powerful goddess named Isis. She loved her husband Osiris, who was the king of Egypt, and her son Horus, who was the heir to the throne. Isis was very kind and wise, and she taught the people of Egypt many useful skills, such as weaving, baking, and brewing beer. One day, Osiris went on a journey to visit other lands and spread his wisdom. Isis stayed behind to take care of Horus and the kingdom. But Osiris had a jealous brother named Set, who wanted to be the king instead. Set made a cunning plan to get rid of Osiris. He secretly measured Osiris's body and made a beautiful wooden chest that fit him perfectly. Then he invited Osiris and many other guests to a feast, where he offered the chest as a prize to anyone who could fit inside it. Osiris was curious and tried to lie down in the chest. As soon as he did, Set slammed the lid shut and locked it with nails and molten lead. He then ordered his followers to carry the chest to the Nile River and throw it into the water. The chest floated away, carrying Osiris inside. Set laughed wickedly and declared himself the new king of Egypt. Isis was heartbroken when she heard the news of Osiris's death. She cried so much that her tears flooded the Nile. She decided to search for Osiris's body, hoping to bring him back to life with her magic. She asked everyone she met if they had seen the chest, but no one knew where it was. She traveled across the land and the sea, following every clue and rumor. Finally, she learned that the chest had reached the shore of a distant country, where a king had found it and used it as a pillar for his palace. Isis disguised herself as a humble maid and went to work at the palace. She waited patiently until she had a chance to sneak into the room where the chest was. She opened the chest and saw Osiris's body, still intact but lifeless. She hugged him and kissed him and whispered a spell to revive him. She felt a faint pulse in his chest and a warm breath on her cheek. Osiris opened his eyes and smiled at her. He thanked her for saving him and told her to hurry back to Egypt with him before Set could find them. Isis was overjoyed and quickly put Osiris back in the chest. She carried it to the river, where she found a boat waiting for her. She sailed away with Osiris, hoping to reach Egypt safely. But Set was not so easily fooled. He had spies everywhere, and he soon learned that Osiris was alive and on his way home. He was furious, and he gathered his army and his chariot. He chased after Isis and Osiris, determined to kill them both. Isis saw Set coming, and she was afraid. She knew that Set was stronger and faster than her, and that she could not outrun him. She decided to hide Osiris on an island in the river and to face Set alone. She told Osiris to stay in the chest and to not open it for anyone but her. She kissed him goodbye and left him under a tree. She then continued sailing, hoping to lure Set away from Osiris. Set followed Isis, thinking that she still had Osiris with her. He caught up with her and attacked her with his spear and his sword. Isis dodged and blocked his blows, using her magic to protect herself. She fought bravely, but she knew that she could not win. She prayed to the sun god Ra and asked him for help. Ra heard Isis's prayer, and he was moved by her love and loyalty. He decided to help her, and he sent his daughter Hathor, the goddess of joy, to distract Set. Hathor appeared in front of Set and smiled at him. She was so beautiful and charming that Set forgot about Isis and Osiris. He stopped fighting and started talking to Hathor. He asked her to dance with him and to sing for him. Hathor agreed, and she led him away from Isis. Isis took this chance to escape from Set. She went back to the island, where she hoped to find Osiris waiting for her. But when she got there, she saw a terrible sight. The chest was gone, and the tree was on fire. She looked around, and she saw a group of men running away with the chest. They were the king's soldiers, who had seen the chest and thought that it was valuable. They had taken it from the island and set the tree on fire to cover their tracks. Isis was filled with grief and anger. She ran after the soldiers and shouted at them to give back the chest, but they did not listen to her. They reached the king's palace and gave the chest to the king. The king was curious about what was inside the chest, and he ordered his men to open it. They broke the lock and lifted the lid. They were shocked to see Osiris's body wrapped in linen. They did not know who he was or why he was there. They thought that he was a dead stranger, and they did not care about him. They threw his body out of the window and kept the chest for themselves. Isis heard Osiris's body fall to the ground, and she ran to him. She held him in her arms and cried. She hoped that he was still alive, but he was not. He was dead again, and this time he could not be revived. Isis felt a great pain in her heart, and she wished that she could die with him. But she remembered that she had a son, Horus, who needed her. She decided to bury Osiris and to honor his memory. She also decided to avenge his death and to fight against Set. She cut a piece of Osiris's body and hid it in a secret place. She then wrapped the rest of his body in linen and made it into a mummy. She performed a funeral for him and buried him in a tomb. She then went back to Egypt, where she raised Horus as the rightful king. She taught him everything she knew and prepared him for his destiny. She also gathered her friends and allies and formed a resistance against Set. She never gave up, and she never stopped loving Osiris.